We're gonna have a good time. I'm like Dumb and Dumber, just got the binocular and shoot it right at the camera, right? So I hope you guys are crushing it right now. I hope you're dialing into your activity. Any of you having trouble dialing into the activity? Okay, most of you should be moving a little bit now. Okay, and so guys, listen, the bigger your pipeline and the more disciplined you are at managing your time, the easier it gets. There's no reason you can't set 10 a day. Like, I want you to get that in your mindset. Eventually, you'll be setting 10 appointments a day. It's easy. And you'll do that in an hour or less. Okay. And then you're going to teach other people how to do that. And y'all, if you set 10 good appointments a day, you'll be printing money. You'll make more money than you know what to do with. And then you're only going to have to work with the people you want to work with. You're not going to have to work with everybody. Okay. Volume creates quality. Volume creates quality, not the other way around. You get your pick of the litter when it's a big litter. When you only have one pup, that's your pup, baby. It don't matter if it's got snaggletooth and cross-eyed, right? Like, that's the one. But you got 10, 12 of them, you get your pick. Okay. Any questions on anything we've gone through quickly? I don't want to keep moving if you are struggling with something that we are implementing now. Go ahead and ask now or forever hold your peace, or at least until next week. Anybody on anything before we keep moving? Going once. Going twice.
Oh, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
have 2 minutes. I hope nothing like this is addressed.
Yep, go ahead.
I think I've always had in my mind that the appointments that you set for today and tomorrow are most likely to stick, and everything outside of that is most likely to reschedule. So I don't know, like, I don't know if I have to switch my mindset or something, because I feel like I've been like overbooking myself for the day and the next day. So my rolling seven doesn't go up. And I've had so many appointments, but then I feel like I'm not able to do like almost any of them effectively, because I run into the next one and then I'm like, hey, look, you take over that one, go practice. But then it's like,
Yeah, it's
and
a
I
great question. Yeah. So this is about your skill set and human nature, two things together. Okay. So what I found was 10 days out was my wall. I don't want to set anything more than 10 days out if I can avoid it, because that amount of time and people just see it as fluid. Okay. But within 10 days, as long as you post close well, 2 days, 5 days, 8 days, we never saw any like dramatic reduction in keep rates beyond that to the 10-day mark. Beyond 10 days, we would see it start to fall. So I would not be overly superstitious. Let me give you another great tool here as well. For those of you in the recruiting business, because a lot of you are, there's also a big mindset there that like, oh, if I don't get my people in the field in 24 hours, they're gone, right? And that's also not true. Okay, as long as you do a good job recruiting them and a good job setting their expectations, and you have a process to sort of spoon feed them, not shoot them with a fire hose of 800 things they need to do, but just like little bit after little bit. You also don't need to turn them over in 24 to 48 hours. Like, I could 3, 4, 5 days before I got them in the field. And that always worked fine to me. I wasn't worried about them leaving because I had something for them to do that wasn't outrageously hard. And so just for whatever it's worth, same mindset, different part of that business. Okay. So I would much rather you book out 3, 4, 5 days than be triple booked over 2 days. Good question. Anybody else with questions before we move forward? Okay. Last week, correct me if I'm wrong, we were crushing a lot of the common objections to the setting and all of that, right? Okay, so anybody have objections that they want to go through that's keeping you from being able to sit at that 80% set rate? Anything this week you got that's like, okay, this I'm running into over and over, I'm not setting well. Going once, going twice. Great. Okay, so let's start moving into pipeline. Okay, so the reason we start with appointment setting is we all have some sort of pipeline already, right? And the money is in the sets. The pipeline is the prerequisite to the sets and maintaining that. Okay, so most of you have heard or listened to my 1,000 names list at this point. Drop into the chat how many names and phone numbers you have on that list currently. Everybody go do that. Drop it in the chat. If you don't know, that's a challenge, right? Imagine running a 7-Eleven and you have no idea what amount of inventory you have, what's for sale, what ran out, what needs to be reordered. You're going to have a real tough time, right? Okay, and so how many names and numbers do you have on that list? Drop it in the chat. I want to see who's where. So Angela's at 350, Dawn's at 924. Good job, Dawn. You're close to that. Okay, Tim's at 450, Angie's 25. So Angie, you got some work to do, girl, right? 150, 300. Okay, so moral of the story, how many people are over 1,000? 0 people, right? 0 people. And so this is sort of prerequisite 1 to being able to make solid 6 figures, 500 grand a year plus. You have to have a pipeline that is currently in existence and a method to build it. 2 sides. So the first side is that 1,000 names list. That's what we work off of now. Paul, how many people you got on your list, brother? Did you? Oh, Paul says you got 5,000. Well, that's your Facebook list. I'm talking about a name and a number written down on a list somewhere. How many you got, Paul?
We don't. We're just going through each person on Facebook and sending messages.
Okay.
Social media.
So here's the problem with that. That's good. You need to be doing that, but you're one-legged. Right? What happens when Messenger decides that it doesn't want to let you send more than 10 messages today? Now you're up a creek without a paddle, right? So that's why we want to diversify. So your homework this week, in addition to upping your sets by 1. So this week, we're going to up our sets on our KPI and our docs by 1 a day. So we're going up by 1. Okay. But in addition to that, your homework is to build out your 1,000 names list. So how are we going to do that? I'm not going to waste your time in here. I've got a resource for you. You need to use that resource. That resource is the 1,000 names list, Kent. I need you to listen to it and I need you to do it. Start where I tell you to start and start writing. You might say, well, I don't have their phone number. That's fine. Put them on the list and then we'll get the numbers. But follow the exercise meticulously, Robert. Right? That's where most people are going to fail at this. They're going to listen to it and they're going to say, yeah, I got it. And then they're not going to do it. And the reason being is, and if you've heard me say this before, good, I'm going to say it to you again. You take 2 agents in the same business, same comp structure, same products. 1 agent has a list of 50 people. 1 agent has a list of 5,000 people. Okay. They are going to operate completely and totally differently. Right? The guy or the gal with 50, Dawn, they're overthinking every call they make. They're like, what do I need to say to this guy? Well, he's a little different. His income's here. And should I talk to him the same way? What if this happens? What if that? Or what if he's not interested? Because we have to make that count. Because after him, we only got 49. And we are playing from lack versus I got 5,000 people. I don't give 2 rats. You know what's what that guy says, right? It's like, I got 4,999 more people left to call after I talk to you. Right? So it's like, I'm going to be working on this freaking thing for the next 2 years. So next, right? 1 is a mindset of abundance. 1 is a mindset of lack. It fundamentally and completely changes, Randy, everything about how we interact. Okay? Everything about how we interact with these people. And so you think that doesn't matter, but it matters a whole lot. Because I can say things to those prospects because I have a super abundance of them that you can't say to them if you need them, right? I can take things away from them. I can do takeaway closes. I can shut stuff down. Your spouse isn't here, but you need them here for the interview. Great, let's be done and let's get back together when we can. When you only got 30 people on the list, you're going to present to one-legged, toothless Tim because you have to, right? So understand this is fundamentally a requirement. The second thing I need you to understand is, again, think like a retail store. Imagine you walk into Walmart and there's no inventory anywhere. The shelves are empty. That store is not going to make any money. Its money is a byproduct of inventory to sell. If there's nothing to sell, there's no money to be made. Your inventory and financial services is people to contact to present to. And so if there's not very much of that, your income potential is very limited. When there's an enormous amount of that, your income potential is enormous. You follow that? Okay. So we have to sell out to this. This is not a suggestion, Dawn. It's a must. If you're serious about wanting to add and then keep adding extra 6 figures, right? You've got to have a pipeline that can sustain your sets. I want you to follow the numbers here for a second. Okay. Eventually, we're going to be setting between 35 and 40 appointments a week ourselves. That's where most of you are going to end up. So if I've got to set 40 appointments a week and I need to talk to 3 people to get or I need to make 3 calls, 3 outreaches to get a set, because not everybody's going to answer or respond, right? That means I need to do about 150 of those a week or 600 a month, right? Well, I need to have a mechanism that keeps at least that much coming in or available in order for me to have my 40 sets. Does that make sense to you all? Okay. The reason you don't make more money right now is you don't have enough appointments. The reason you don't have enough appointments, you don't have a very good pipeline and you don't have a very good discipline to set what you need. Once those 2 things get done and you have a surplus of appointments, the income is easy. Okay, you understand that? So we have to build this. So your homework this week is to go through the 1,000 names list and to get it done. You need to finish it, Jen. You don't get to start it and say, oh, next week I'm at 350. I'm up from 100. Well, that's great, but you're still 650 short of where I need you to be. Right? So do you want this to take forever, Randy, for you to make a lot of extra money? No, I don't want it to take forever either. So let's get it done this week so we can move on next week and not have to keep doing that. You follow? Okay. So pipeline is going to be in 2 places. First is the 1,000 names list. That's what we're going to work on today. We're going to work off that tomorrow. We're going to work off that the next day. The other side of the pipeline, Paul, is the 5 to stay alive, 5 sources of people coming into that pipeline, right? And so again, we want to have this generating somewhere between 70 and 100 people a week. That's really a well-built pipeline, okay? So we need 5 sources. It doesn't need to be KTs, Robert, it can be anything, okay? But we need 5 sources of new names and numbers. I like them to be renewable sources, by the way, right? What do I mean by that? I don't want to have something that's a one-hit wonder that I can only do once. I want to have rhythms where I do this thing every week and it brings me people. So if I can get 100 people a week new added to my list, that's 5,200 people this year, plus my 1,000 names list. That's 6,200 people. So Angie, how are you going to talk to 6,200 people and not get a lot of clients and some really, really great agents, right? It's just a numbers game, but you have to work those numbers. The good news is it can be done in a few minutes a day. It's very, very simple. Okay. Any questions thus far? So we're going to do the exercises to build 1,000. That's where we're going to work. We're also going to do the exercises to build the infrastructure of the 5 to stay alive. Okay. Why does it need to be 5 sources? Really simple. Diversification. Okay. Every market has its own strengths and weaknesses. So Robert, were you asking me about some like huge client that has all this money somewhere? I think you sent me a message about that. Was that you?
Yeah. So I got my sister-in-law's brother, Rodney. He's a chief of a reserve. They have 200 million in assets under management that's being poorly managed, and there's 6 other reserves. So there's potential for $2 billion of AUM. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I reach Rodney? How do I?
So this is a great illustration. So what is the pro of this market that Robert's in, right, with this guy? Big money, right? I mean, you could have one transaction that could pay you millions of dollars. That's a pro, right? What's the cons, do you think, about that market for Robert? Unmute yourself. Speak it out.
The size of the market.
Yes, it's a very small market of people that have that. What else?
He can lose it just like that.
Okay, what else? It's going to be a real $200 million don't move overnight. It don't move in 6 months. It don't move in 1 year, right? People or entities with that sort of money do amazing amounts of due diligence, amazing amounts of it. So here's a con for that market. You might work for 2 years and not get a nickel, right? So pro, big money in one place. Con, very long sales cycle with the opportunity to potentially not be paid at all if I can't close it, but put years of effort into it, right? Let's look at another side of things. Let's look at what is the pros and cons. let's say you're in the recruiting side of the financial services and you're dealing with a market of young single people who make 30 grand a year, right? What are the pros and cons to that market? Pros are they're everywhere. They don't need a lot of money to be full-time agents in your business, right? They're not replacing huge salaries. They have a lot of energy, right? They don't have a lot of other encumbrances. They don't have families or other jobs or whatever, really, right? Like those are all pros. What are the cons to that market? Who can think of some cons to this market? Yeah,
Loyalty, not loyal, not loyal.
don't have any loyalty. What else?
Not credible
Uh,
enough.
Not in target market themselves.
Not credible, not in target market. Okay, so the point is, every market has pros and cons. When we get heavily steered to one market, what happens is the pros and cons get accentuated. So the bad becomes really bad, right? Because it's all sitting there. So by having 5 sources, we mitigate a lot of the negatives. So yeah, I got some of these people that are fickle and they don't have a lot of loyalty and they have the mental toughness of a 3-year-old, but they're also quick sales cycles and it's easy to find them. And right. And then I got the big money guys, which are harder to find and it's going to take some work. But every once in a while, when I get one to hit, it's a big payday and everywhere in between. That's why we need 5. So we don't get really handicapped by the negatives of the market that we're in. Make sense? Okay. Whenever you watch people that are heavy on recruiting, but not on premium, or heavy on securities, but not on premium, or the opposite way around, right? What's happening is their markets are very, very homogeneous, right? They're very similar, right? Which is why they have a lot of one thing and they're missing the other things. What I want is a very diverse market coming in. So I have a lot of everything. You follow? Okay. Any questions so far?
Are
Good.
you about, sorry, are you gonna cover about like the 5 sources, like the 5 to stay alive right now? Okay, I
Yep.
just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
Yep, good. So let me give you what I would have those be now. Okay. If I were you, my first source would be BNI groups. Okay, BNI, and this is in the 1,000 names list, but it's a little different because that was recorded a long time ago. Okay, BNI, Business Network International, it's a closed contact networking group, 1 person per profession. They generally meet once a week. There is a cost to it. To me, this is the single easiest way to increase your income by 50 to 100,000 bucks this year that you're ever going to find. I could take to the bank pay 1 deal a week out of BNI. 50 to 60 deals a year is what I would get out of my BNI. Okay. So let me give you some coaching on this. They're hard to get into because it's a laydown for 50, 60 deals a year. I would go in life insurance or investments wherever you're strongest. Okay. But life insurance to me is, I would always prefer the life insurance seat versus an investment seat. That's just my opinion. But some of you are really heavy investments. If you're great there, be great there. Okay. If you can't get into one, what should you do? You should start one. That's what I did. I couldn't get into them, so I started them. There's a lot of benefits to starting a BNI versus joining a BNI. So how do you find them? Just Google BNI and look for chapters in your area that have a life insurance or securities seat. Okay. BNI, MAHA stands for Business Network International. It's a networking group. Okay. And so if we can't get in, we're going to start one. Either way, we're going to get in. So we're going to Google, we're going to look for chapters. We're going to go visit every chapter we can that has an open seat. Why? Because even if you don't join that chapter, you're going to meet 30 people there. So that was a really useful hour in terms of prospecting, right, dude? You showed up and you met 30 people who were largely in market in 1 hour. That's easy. So I would do a bunch of that. Do not join groups that have less than 25 people. Okay. You join a group that has less than 25 people, it's not going to be as profitable as I'm describing. BNIs are like base shops. Big ones are healthy and vibrant and people are making money. Small ones are not healthy and nobody's making money. And so we don't want to be in a small group. We want to be in a big group. Okay. So what you should do is you should visit a few chapters that have openings. Do not apply for anything with less than 25 people, but you still get all those cards and contacts and set up one-on-ones with them. Okay. So BNI number one, that's called closed contact networking. The second thing that I would be doing if I were you is open contact networking. Okay. So this is networking events where there's not like one person per profession. It's anybody can be there. And this is so easy. I'm just going to show you how easy this is here. I'm going to share my screen. Tell me when you can see it. Can you see my desktop here? Yeah. Okay, good. So like, check this out. Angela, what city do you live in?
South Riding, Virginia.
What's the biggest city you're near?
Let's say Reston.
What city?
Reston, Virginia.
Reston.
Mhm.
Okay. Networking events, Reston, Virginia. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Boom. Check it out. This is just in the next 30 days. And this seems like a pretty small place, right? So what's a bigger city in Virginia?
I mean, in DC area, and if you just search Virginia, I'm sure it gets, because the Northern Virginia, it calls DC area or DMV.
So like, look at this. So here's DC, right? Like this is all in the next week, except for like one of these, right? And there's more and more and more and more of these you can even go to. So to me, this is like a no-brainer. Okay, I would want to do 2 or 3 of these a week if I were you. Here's why. You show up and there's 10, 20, 30, 40 people there, right? Sometimes more. You didn't have to invite any of them. They're all entrepreneurs, which means they don't have group coverage. They don't have 401ks. They're self-starters. They make their own decisions. This is your target market, you all. And guess what? You go there and they already have their name and number on a card. Then they want to give it to you. They're begging you to prospect them. It's so easy, right? I could beg Maha on one recruit and one sale out of a networking event always. Sometimes I could get 2 or 3, but I knew I would always get 1. Okay. So if you do that 2, 3 times a week and there's 20 people at each one, you could do 60 to 100 new names and numbers a week just from that one. And they're largely in market and they're great daytime activity. You need to work at night and on the weekends with these people. You can work during the day. Okay. Following this, everybody? Very good. Next place I would go is I would be crushing your social media. And I'm going to segment this into two different worlds, inbound and outbound. Okay, so outbound, if you haven't watched my Money's in the Messenger from my social media class, we're going to drop that in here for free as a free resource to you. So you're welcome. Okay, and study that. Okay, 50 messages a day, 50. You're going to learn my process of hunt, farm, cultivate. If you have 5,000 friends on Facebook, which I teach you to have, you'll learn that from that. Okay. And how do you do that, Angela? Every day, Facebook recommends people you may know, you friend them all, right? And then we send 50 DMs a day. We hunt first, we farm second, we cultivate. Hunting is going directly at something, making a direct ask. Farming is an indirect ask. Cultivate is no ask. Let me give you an example of a hunt. Hey, Angie, it's Ian Pruckner. I hope you are doing well and the family's good. This might be a weird question, but who does your life insurance? ? That is a hunt. I'm just going right at you for something, right? Here is a farm. Hey, Angie, hope your family's well. Long time no see. Hey, I hope this isn't weird, but I'm actually working on a big promotion right now. I need some help. I'm looking for some life insurance referrals. These might be people who just got a new job, just had a kid, just got married, just moved into a new house. And it could be somebody who already has coverage and just wants to make sure they have enough. Thanks in advance for anybody you could send me. By the way, if you're open to letting me look at your coverage, I'd be honored. Let me know either way. Thanks so much. Here's cultivating. Hey, Ron, just thinking of you. Hope you're well. God bless. Okay, so we're sending 50 a day. That's 100 days on 5,000. So we hunt for 100 days on a product, and then we farm the next 100 days on a different product. And then we cultivate for 100 days on no product. And what's going to happen, Kent, is on your cultivating, because you're not asking for something, people will actually respond to you and be like, dude, I'm so sorry. I saw your messages before. I meant to get back to you. Let's talk about this. That's why we cultivate, or why we cultivate instead of continue farming. Jen, go ahead.
It's probably a stupid question, but I sent it a whole whack of these today and I got an answer, and the guy said, do I know you? I just don't know how I respond to that.
So however you want. So are you friends with them on Facebook?
I am, but I think he's a fairly recent ad.
Okay, so you just say, hey, we're Facebook friends. We have a mutual connection in so-and-so, but you should know me. When can we hop on a quick Zoom?
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, you just get a little witty with them. Okay, so we're going to do that. Those are our outreach. And then our inputs are list building posts. Let me give you 5 examples of this. Okay. So go ahead.
100 days just hunting for 50 a day, then next 100 days just farming, and next 100 days.
Yeah, so it'll take you almost a year to get through that whole cycle, right?
Is
Which
it
is
for
great,
people,
because
though?
that's exactly what we want. We don't want people, y'all, when you have 50 people on your list, you call the same people every week, they get real tired of you. When you got 5,000 people, they hear from you once every 100, 150 days. That's fine. That's a good rhythm, right? Okay, list building posts. This is, you can go direct or you can go indirect. Here's a direct post. So Jen posts out, roll call, how much life insurance is enough these days? Question mark. My answer is in the comments. Just post that out in the morning. Jen, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100 people going to comment on that. Right? And guess what they're all now having conversations with you about? Life insurance. Pretty easy to get in the DMs. Hey, thanks for saying, out of curiosity, who do you do yours with? Blah, 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 right? So that's direct. Here's indirect. Roll call. Where's all my moms and dads at? Drop the ages of your kids in the chat. Okay, so you're going to get a lot more comments on that. And what you're doing is you're building a list of in-market people. They just told you they have dependents, but it's camouflaged. It doesn't look like a sale. So it's easier to get, harder to get to, right? That makes sense. Okay, here's some other ones really, really quickly. Out and about prospecting. I always try to get 5 to 10 names a day that way. Okay, I'll give you some more of that next week. Okay, church, referrals, beneficiary forms, kids events, your neighborhood, your old job, your current job, right? Like there's just so many places to go to farm these people, okay, that you're starting in the middle of a supermarket. The fact is most people just don't do this. They've heard it, they just don't do it. The problem with not doing it is you derive no benefit from it, right? So now imagine, Maha, if all of your agents had this built and they had hundreds of people to talk to every week, right? Like how much better would they be doing? How much more money would they make? How much more money would you make? Okay, well, your job is to help them build that. Before you can help them build that, you got to help you build that, right? So you can live off of it. This is the stuff, guys. Listen, it's not sexy, but it prints money. And that is sexy, right? Printing the money is the sexy part. Building the infrastructure is the stuff nobody wants to do. All right, guys, I got to run. I'm late. Hey, we're bumping up 1 set this week. Bump it up. Make sure you get it done. We'll talk.